King Charles III led the royal family during the state funeral for Queen Elizabeth II on Monday. He and his wife Queen Camilla headed the procession into Westminster Abbey before taking their seats in the front row, facing the late monarch's coffin. Further along the row were the Queen's other children, Princess Anne, Prince Andrew and Prince Edward, and Prince William, second in line to the throne, and his family. Prince Harry, the new king's younger son, sat behind Charles. This seating arrangement was quickly noted as a snub by some reports, but royal commentators have since claimed this was actually a purposeful move to signal Charles' bond with Harry. Christina Garibaldi and Christine Ross, hosts of the Royally Us podcast, argued that the monarch wanted his son close. Ms. Garibaldi said, "A lot of people were saying that it was a snub to have him, Harry, behind King Charles at Westminster Abbey. A lot of people were also saying that he wasn't singing God Save the King. There's always this sort of speculation." Ms. Ross added, "I actually think Prince Harry being right behind his father kept them quite close. That front row was the Queen's children who were bearing tremendous grief, this was their mother." Read more. Kate and William protected George and Charlotte in measured funeral appearance. Harry was sat directly behind his father during the funeral service. Image, Getty Images. Harry and Meghan were seated in places of honor. Image, Getty Images. Prince Harry and Meghan will go back to Montecito fuming over UK treatment. Prospects of reconciliation between the Sussexes and the rest of the royal family following the Queen's death appeared short-lived as there was little interaction during the Queen's funeral. And now a royal expert has said Prince Harry and Meghan Markle will go back to California fuming after the royal family showed very little sympathy towards them following the death of Queen Elizabeth II. Read more about the alleged royal row here. And I actually think Harry being behind his father was actually a comfort for King Charles. Ms. Garibaldi added, "I actually thought so too. I didn't think it was a snub at all. You couldn't get any closer to the king unless you were sitting right next to him." Later in the podcast, the hosts spoke to royal historian and commentator Gareth Russell. He argued the prince and his wife Meghan Markle were given a place of honor at the state funeral. He said, "That's the etiquette. If you know what the etiquette is, it actually is a place of honor. To be the one behind the king is actually a sign of favor. Members of the royal family are traditionally seated in accordance with the hierarchy during official events." During the service of Thanksgiving held at St. Paul's Cathedral on June 3 to mark the Platinum Jubilee, the Sussexes sat in the second row, next to other non-working members of the firm including Princess Eugenie and her husband Jack Brooksbank. The royals are usually seated based on the pecking order. Image, Getty Images. Mr. Russell urged people not to consider Harry and Meghan snub by where they were located during the funeral service, and suggested the focus of the seating plan may have been on the Queen's children rather than her grandchildren, particularly paying tribute to Charles' sister, Princess Anne, who has dedicated decades to the Queen and the firm. Harry's relationship with his father has been highly publicized in recent years, following the exit of the Duke and Duchess of Sussex and their subsequent media interviews. There has been a reported distance between the two royals. According to Mr. Russell, the king very much does want reconciliation between himself and Prince Harry, adding, "Hopefully we're going to see a palace administration under Charles III that perhaps is a bit more flexible about things." He continued, "I think most people are hopeful that the family will unite." Meghan and Harry stepped down from their roles in the royal family in 2020. Image, Getty Images. Trending the Duke and Duchess time in the UK has sparked discussion over whether the couple could return to the firm in the future. Tina Brown, author of The Palace Papers, has claimed the royal family needs the Sussexes to come back. On Tuesday, she told ITV's Lorraine, "I do think the royal family needs them, the Sussexes. There's a lot of work to be done. And Kate does not want to be spending her time traveling the world. She's a mother with 3 children. she continued, as the Sussexes are. They have to somehow divvy this stuff up, and Harry has a big role to play if he wants to come in and do it. The question is of course whether Meghan wants to, because she absolutely hated every bit of it. Don't miss, Andrew looks set to take on Queen's beloved dogs after monarch's death, reveal Prince Andrew and Sarah Ferguson fear to be thrown to the wolves, insight inside Buckingham Palace, glimpse inside Queen Elizabeth II's home, analysis, royal poll, should Meghan and Harry return as 6-month part-time royals? Meghan Markle and Prince Harry hope to return to the UK as 6-month part-time royals under King Charles, a royal author has claimed. The Sussexes stepped back from royal life in 2020 and have lived in the USA since with their 2 children. But should Meghan and Harry make a comeback? Do you support this? Vote in our poll here. Ms. Brown admitted that there are certain details that may put a return on hold, namely the prince's highly anticipated memoir. She said, "I think unless he does give up his book and these tell-all documentaries, then there can be no trust." She added, "They should definitely make that compromise. If Harry doesn't want to ban the book, then I don't see a way forward. Which would be very sad." Grieving the loss of Elizabeth II has seemingly brought the royal family together to some extent. Just days after her death, Harry and Meghan joined the new Prince and Princess of Wales on a surprise walkabout outside Windsor Castle. Prince William reportedly extended the olive branch to his younger brother and his wife, inviting them to greet well-wishers and read tributes left at the gates. Charles, William and Harry took part in the solemn processions, Getty Images. While Harry and William were far apart at Westminster Abbey, they walked side by side during the processions which took Her Majesty's coffin from Westminster Hall to St George's Chapel, along with their father King Charles. At the chapel in Windsor, Harry and Meghan were seated between Princess Charlotte and Isla Phillips, one of Princess Anne's granddaughters. Meghan and Harry, who relocated to California in March 2020, were already in the UK when the Queen died, as they were taking part in events linked to charities close to their hearts. They have now returned to the US to be reunited with their children, Archie and Lilibet, who they had not seen in person since